Hey guys, it's Julie. I'm here with another vlog. This time it's about mulattoes. I've done one on blacks, I've done one on whites, now it's time to do one on mulattoes. And those of you who don't know what mulatto means still, it means someone who has a white parent and a black parent. I know some people don't know, and it's not an offensive word like people want you to think. No, it's just dumb people who want to make a big deal out of something else. But these are my criticisms for mulattoes isn't as extensive as it is with whites and blacks because there's not as many mulattoes, so it's not as much observation. Some of my observations I've gotten from, mulatto board websites and other vlogs and blogs. So one of my most major criticisms of the mulatto race is the way they cling on to celebrities and politicians who are of mixed race. The reason why this is a problem to me is because it's like they're pretty much chastising people like Halle Berry and Obama because they identify as a black person. And it's pretty much they hate the fact that they aren't speaking on behalf of mixed people. But here's the problem. Why are you depending on them to speak on behalf of your battle? The thing about being mixed means you got three races to choose from, which is being white, then there's being black, and then there's being mixed. And people like Obama and Halle Berry chose to be black. I mean, these are usually extremist mulattoes who are like this, who cling on to, if you go to websites where they're like a mulatto board, you'll see a lot about celebrities and politicians, and they really heavily depend on them. Like, look, I'm the type that does not look up to celebrities. Growing up, my mom, and she sometimes still does right now, I'm still young, like, we'd be going to the store or something, and somehow in the sentence, when talking about beauty, somehow the name Halle Berry always pops up, and I'm like, oh my god, what's the obsession with her? There are other mixed people, like, the girl who played Hillary Banks on that show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, she's mixed. So why don't anyone talk about her? I'm so sick and tired of hearing about Halle Berry and Barack Obama. And I hate how people criticize that they're not claiming to be mixed, they're not claiming their white side. The world, in this country, you're seen as a black person until people know difference. If I walk down that street, I'll be considered and treated like a black person. It seems like it's once they find out you're not a black person, just a black person, all of a sudden a little tone slightly changes, unless they're one of those racists. But I just don't like how mixed people heavily rely on celebrities, and then they get mad if they don't speak on their behalf. But here's the thing about being mixed. It's hard to speak on behalf of the mixed race, of being mulatto, when you self-identify. Like I said, the extremist mulattoes, they don't believe in self-identification. These are the ones that you can't stand being around, because if you don't agree with them, then you're against them, and they'll make your life a living hell. They think they know everything, but they don't. They're just a bunch of ignorant mulattoes who give mulattoes a bad name. They pretty much tie in with the snobbery thing. They act like snobs, which is my other criticism of mulattoes, are the whole snobby factor, but we'll get to that later. So yeah, I don't like how they heavily rely on celebrities. I by default I've never really had a celebrity idol. I don't know why, I always felt it was a false thing to look after look up to celebrities and politicians, because when you look at the news, they're always doing something that's wrong, and it's like, if you heavily rely on them and depend on them, and then they do something bad, then you feel like you're let down. You're better off being your own hero in the end. So my next criticism of mulatto people, to the average person, they would think mulatto people understand one another. They think that because we're both mixed, that we were going to understand each other. But I've actually felt like I've related better with black people who deal with racism than mulatto people. Because the thing about being mulatto is you're three races, so depending on where you live and how you're raised, you're experiencing different things. Some mulatto people are raised by, in my own school alone, there was not a bunch, but there was, enough to say that there was more mulatto people than I could count on two hands. But we all had different. I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you if I related to them because I never had no mulatto friends. I really didn't. There was one I got along with, but most of them I hung out in a different group. I mean, some of them hung out with blacks, some hung out with whites, and then you still got your high school cliques. So I didn't really relate well with. I couldn't tell you. I mean, mulatto people. It's bad enough financially you can't relate to some people. Then clique-wise, you can't relate to people, and then on top of that, who was raising you? I mean, I was raised by my white mom. Most of us were raised by our white moms. But even then, different experiences. So it's really hard sometimes for mulatto people to understand one another because we're all different. I mean, because like I said, the self-identification thing, no other race, black people, white people, they can never self-identify as any other race. But mulatto people can self-identify as 3 races. And when that happens, it really becomes harder to understand each other. I mean, if someone believes in only identifying as a mulatto, but another person believes in identifying as all 3 at different times, it's hard for the 2 to understand and relate to one another. And so we often did not understand and relate to one another because of it, because we came from different areas. I mean, I didn't get along with black people in school. Actually, I didn't get along with, like I said, I'm a misanthrope by default, so I don't get along with anyone. But when it comes to racial issues, I feel like I better relate to black people. But, so the whole idea that mixed people understand each other, that's false. And that's my criticism. I feel like I wish we could understand each other, but we're just all separate and doing our own thing. And I mean, like, so when black people are fighting for something, they have like a common goal. When white people are fighting for something, they have a common goal. But mixed people, they're kind of I don't know how to describe it. They're just like spread out everywhere. Some with the whites, some with the blacks, some with their own groups. It's just, we're all over the place. We have no common goal because everyone's different. And then my last criticism I really have is the snob factor. Like I said, I was going to talk about this. And, it is true. A lot of mixed people do tend to be snobby. I tend to be snobby. I mean, most of us aren't snobby because we're mixed. We're snobby more or less, probably based on who we were around and how we were raised personally. But a lot of mixed people are snobby. And, I hate the stereotype that we're snobby and stuff. So it sucks that us acting snobby kind of makes the stereotype almost true. And then, I mean, the only other stereotype I hated, other stereotype about us that I really hate is the self-hater thing. Believe me, we're not self-haters. When Barack Obama and Halle Berry stated they were black, they're not self-haters. Believe me, if they were self-haters and hated their white side, they would do everything in their power to not let it be known that they are half white. They would have lied about their parents. They would have done everything in their power to make sure you didn't know they were black. They were half white, I mean. So, obviously, we're not self-haters unless we deny that. I mean, they're not denying that they're half white, obviously. I mean, if we denied we were half white, then that would make us, call it what you want. I mean, like I said, self-hater is someone who will seriously actually tell you they do not want to be that race. When they say that they don't want to be that specific race, that makes them a self-hater. Just simply identifying with one race does not make you a self-hater, though. And one more thing I wanted to get in here, it doesn't really pertain so much to my criticisms, I just had to say it. But it seems like a lot of people lately, blacks and whites, want to keep claiming they're mixed. I mean, you got black people stating that having 10% white is the same as 50% white. No, it's not. It's not the same, never will be the same. I think black people say that because they want to keep they want to keep mulatto people from, mulatto people sometimes seem to be more favored in media compared to blacks in a more positive light sometimes. Not, I wouldn't say always. So I think sometimes, I feel like out of defense, they do what they can to. So either way, in the end, if you have to be 50-50 to be mixed, to actually be mixed, a first generation mixed person. And then the kid they have after that is the second generation mixed person, yada yada yada. I might talk about this in another blog. I'm done. Bye.